Ryan, you saw Birth of a Nation.
I did, yes.
What is it about and what is it like?
Well, Birth of a Nation had quite a lot of hype going into it because obviously there was that whole thing with, it was going to sweep the Oscars. It was very much
It was the most expensive film at Sundance.
Yeah,
wasn't
it's Nat Turner's directorial debut, and taking the film, the name of the film back from the original Birth of a Nation, which we've talked about before, and it's quite racist.
Yeah, the original film from way back in the day is like about the Ku Klux Klan, isn't it? So
So it's just like it's about the conception of the Ku Klux Klan. So he wanted to take the name back from that film and make it something about the liberation of the slaves.
Good on him.
And in this film, Nat Turner. Sorry.
Nate Parker's the director and the actor, and then Nat Turner's the character.
So Nat Turner, he's a literate slave, one of the only literate slaves there is, and he's a preacher as well. And his owner, Sam Turner, on the sort of plantation that they're on, takes him around to other local plantations, and he preaches there. And as the film goes on, they go to more places, and Nat finally realises just how much of the subjugation of the slaves there is, because he lives in a more sheltered life, because he doesn't have to do any cotton picking or anything like that, because he is a literate slave and he does preach. And he earns Sam Turner quite a lot of money, so he doesn't really have to do much of the manual labour. But as he sees the slaves be more and more, I mean, it gets a lot more violent as the film goes on.
Right.
Like, I was wondering when it was going to pack the punch that it needed to for quite a lot of the time, because a lot of the time it is sort of like how to make a slave liberation film 101.
Okay.
But then it becomes quite... I mean, I think the argument the film has in itself is that it takes violence to end violence.
Okay.
I think because the film does become a bloody and brutal battle as it comes towards the end. I mean, there's one scene, I'm not sure if I can really say anything about it on air, but he goes to a lot more strict slave plantation where slaves are treated absolutely horrendously. And I think that's the moment he sort of snaps mentally, and that's the moment where he decides, you know what, we do need to have an uprising, and this is not right at all. And I think compared to 12 Years a Slave, which I know you said is quite gutting, and one of the films you never want to watch again.
Never want to watch it again.
Yeah.
It's great, but
I think this is I think this is a really, really powerful story, but I just don't know why it didn't land with me in the end. I really don't know, because
a lot of people said the same thing. Said that it's fine, but it's not stirring enough to be revolutionary.
It's a gutsy film. It's a visceral film,
right.
But it doesn't land for me in the way that I would have wanted it to. I think the last 10 minutes are terrific. I think the soundtrack is really, really good, and you get behind Nat's journey. You really get the anger through, because they make sure there is no shades of grey here. You know, this is very much just, these are evil people. This is evil times, and he has to liberate everyone and break these chains. And it's just, the story itself doesn't hit with the weight that I think it wants to. I think it's very much a bit of a hit under the bar, I think, in terms of
it looks
quality.
To me like it'd be a bit of a slog. Is it a bit of a
slog?
slog?
I don't think it's boring. I was enthralled by it, but I think it's just something there that didn't really grab me. You know what I mean? Like it didn't really land in the way I would have wanted it to. Personally,
I think there must have been, because I didn't see it. I've had time. I've had multiple opportunities to go and see, but it's always looked like a bit of a slog, and I think that's what put me off.
Yeah.
It's getting towards Christmas. It's obviously been put there for a reason. They're trying to bury it because it's not making any money at all. It's one of the biggest flops of the year in terms of money. So
I do like sort of the fact that Armie Hammer's character of Sam Turner, he is quite a sympathetic man to start with, but then you sort of realise he is a slave owner, and I think and some of the shots for a first time director, it's absolutely terrifically directed. I think some of the shots especially are really well framed, and I love the look of it. But I think for me, story just didn't land in the way I wanted it to, and it could have been so much more.
And it's not an Oscar contender.
Definitely not. I mean, performance-wise, it could be for Nate Parker.
Fair enough.
I think, but apart from that, no.
Recommend then?
I think yeah. For even though there was controversy about it, I think it's definitely.